Look, we don't have favorite guests. We appreciate everyone who comes into Pod World headquarters and is nice enough to give us their time because they don't have to do that. But I think it is fair to say that one of our favorite episodes of the year,
every year,
is baseball opening day, when we know that head coach Scott Forbes will come by and tell us everything we need to know about the Diamond Heels and probably a few other things also. And he's here today. Coach Forbes, thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited about the season, that's for sure.
You've played through some snow these last couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Give us a little thumbnail of what you've seen from the Diamond Heels.
Yeah, I don't remember. We were talking about this. You guys can try to help me here because you were involved, obviously, with Carolina baseball for a while. I don't remember a cold stretch being this consistent, where it was this cold every day. We're literally celebrating 40 degrees and sunny. Like today, I think it's going to be 42, and we're all pumped up about it. We still wear sleeves, but a lot of the guys won't. But to answer your question, it's gone fast. The NCAA passed a rule where we could start team practice pretty much immediately, which was Monday, I think, January the 12th. So that allowed us to at least have more time with our guys and not have to be concerned about hour limits and all that stuff. And the guys have worked. They've dealt with the cold. We've got guys from cold weather areas, which has helped also. They're kind of used to it. But I have to give my staff, a ton of credit. They're unbelievable, organized. Practice is going really, really well. We've got the tarp on, got the tarp off, shoveled snow, been able to at least get on the infield like yesterday. Our grounds crew's done a phenomenal job. So I think any coach would be lying to you if they felt like, hey, we're ultra ready this time of year. I think we're getting better. It would be ideal if it was 50 and, sunny, but it hasn't been. So we've dealt with it and trying to get our pitch counts up, and hopefully, we're ready to go.
Before we get to this year, I just want to take a quick question about last year. As a head coach, how do you kind of review that year? You did everything right. Like, you had a great team. You're hosting in the postseason. You had a 1-0 lead in the Supers. Like, you did everything you wanted to do, and then you just had a couple games where your team didn't play its best. The opposition played well. It just didn't work out. So how do you assess that when you didn't get ultimately where you want to go, which is Omaha, but you did everything you could do to get there?
Yeah, I think, especially as a head coach, one of my favorite books I've ever read is I'm a huge Jocko fan, Navy SEAL, Extreme Ownership. I can't sit here and say that I agree necessarily individually that I did everything right. So that's the first thing you should do, is look back and say, okay, what could have we done different as a coaching staff to maybe have won one of those two games? And sometimes you do look back and you're like, maybe we did do almost everything right and the ball didn't bounce here or there. But there are a couple things, I finally went back and watched, and I felt like, okay, if we correct those things, the old saying, never waste a failing. You got to look at it that way. And I felt like there were a couple things late in those games, like John Wooden says, those little things, maybe Gavin being in a little bit more on the, not Gavin, Gavin was playing third on that sack bunt situation, so it doesn't have to be a run through. But again, our guys, on the reverse side of that, you also need to step back and appreciate what your players have done. You look at the 2014, we lost some superstars, a ton of offense, and those guys came together as the season went along, gave us a legit chance, won an ACC championship, and had another opportunity to go to Omaha. So more for me, it's just reflecting back, like, dang it, not allowing Jake Knapp to pitch in Omaha and Stokely to have at bats, or among others. But really just trying to learn from it and say, hey, we get in that situation again, we'll be better because of it.
Do you keep like a notebook of like things that you feel like you learned each year, like quotes that you read? Is there a file somewhere that has all this stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a big writer. It helps me tremendously, but I've gotten to where now I'm an Excel person. They say AI is going to knock out Excel, so I guess I'll have to retire when that happens. But I use the heck out of Excel formulas originally, as a pitching coach, but more it's just where I make all the practice plans. Basically, after every practice, I go in and I type in what's as quick as I can, or go to my home office at night, what I thought about the practice. But the games, scouting reports, they're more advanced now. But yeah, I have notebooks, kind of old school notebooks that I've kept each season. Like this one will be labeled 25, 26 season. Just a lot of handwritten notes, and I've tried to type them more into Excel as well. Probably just doing, I don't need to do that, but I do it, and it just allows me to have it on the computer. But it does help go back and look at, what you could have done better. That's the biggest thing for me is, just trying to learn from it. But, yeah, we have all that stuff for sure.
What made me think of this question is when you said earlier, the rules are a little different, so we could start on this day. And it feels like there's a lot of different rules right now. But if people aren't following this kind of day-to-day, can you give us a quick update on some of the new rules that you are managing, whether it's the roster or whatever it is, that is kind of that you have to navigate right now?
Yeah, I mean, are there any rules? That's the question I ask myself at times when I read all the articles, especially when you got the college football playoff just ending and obviously basketball, but baseball is booming. It's taken off, and the landscape is what it is from the standpoint of, it used to be you raise as much money as you could, and you had that for NIL money. Well, that's changing. It's more of a rev share battle. What is the school and the administration's commitment to rev share in your sport? Because that's going to matter now more than ever. But really for us, the rules change for the better in the recruiting. We can't call or have in-person contact with high school players until I think it's August 1st after getting ready to start their junior year, which still is early if you really think about it, but we got all out of whack. I mean, we were offering 14-year-olds, and then everybody was basically offering a kid because they either thought he was okay or, is there a no-brainer at 14? There aren't many of them. Thankfully, we offered Matty Mathias at 14, but there's a lot of other stories as well. And so that's made it better for everybody, in my opinion. And now you got to balance that with the high school rules. How many high school players do you want to bring in compared to what you need to stay old from the transfer portal? So it's an interesting time, but you got to adapt. But I like the new rules. They're getting better. They're getting ready to change potentially our recruiting calendar rules, which I like. So all of it's has been for the good in college baseball, except the stupid double base. I can't stand it. I don't know why we don't just use Major League bases. We're trying to get that passed as well.
I wanted to look this up because I want to make sure I got it right. So there was a story in Baseball America recently that said the average age of a Division I college baseball player has jumped from 20.1 in 2022 to 21.9 in 2024. The average age is 21.9. How has that changed the game?
I mean, if you're not paying attention to that, you're going to get your butt whipped. Or, Coach Savage is a good friend of mine. It depends on what your school can help you do, what the admission process is, how many transfers can you bring in. You look at UCLA 2 years ago, I think they won 19 games, if I'm correct. And then last year they made it to Omaha, and then all those guys, kind of like it used to be at times. But really you used to fill that void with older players from the junior colleges. Well, now, you got the transfer portal, and if you don't remain fairly old, and then obviously you want to have those you still got to get the best high school players, but the difference for baseball is you don't know if they're going to get to campus. So I know that if a sophomore at school A goes on the portal and he comes to UNC, I don't have to fight the draft for him, and he can potentially play shortstop for us. Well, I got the best shortstop in the country or in our state, but he's drafted in the second round and he signs. It's a mix you have to balance. But staying old, I think, is really important to be. As Dean, I always respected what Coach Smith did. We always had a shot when he, always consistent to be in the mix to win a national championship. And I think now to do that, you have to bring in the right guys off the transfer portal so you stay old.
I shouldn't say I know. I would think we've asked you this before, but I think it's worth asking you again. You guys have done a terrific job in the transfer portal, in my opinion, both from finding Division I guys and finding guys at lower ranks that you bring in to be successful. How have you been able to consistently hit on that, where you find a guy who maybe is playing D2 baseball and you see something that says, you know what, he can compete at this level?
Again, I want to give Scott Jackson, Jesse Worsbicky, Brian Gaines, Jason Howell, and our whole staff. We all work together to get the right guys. Sometimes you have to walk away from the guys that on paper look like the right guys, but you don't feel like they're going to fit your exact need. What's unique about baseball is there are great players that, the guys that are like Tyson Bass, if you do enough research, talk to enough people, look at the skill set, find some video, get your analytical team to look at, how much does he swing and miss? Where's walks to strikeouts? How's that going to correlate from Division III potentially to Division I? That guy's probably going to have a good chance. He's already played 4 years. What is the skill set? And we've kind of come up with our own formula, where we know what we're looking for and we're trying to get those guys. Now, we have done a fairly good job on the portal, but we've also not been able to do as good as we have wanted to do because your resources are your resources. And, NIL and revenue share, it matters. And, in my mind, the competitive side of me thinks about like, hey, we also had a chance to get this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and we didn't get them because of this. Maybe we can hopefully improve that and get them as well.
And with that in mind, you made some big news recently. The program got a huge challenge gift. What is that exactly, and how will that impact? And for that matter, how can people get involved if they hear this and they're like, you know what, I'd like to help them?
Yes, it was, it's unbelievable is what it is. I just look at the future of college athletics in general, and I want Carolina baseball to always be nationally competitive for years, way after I'm done here. You have to have now, because this is not rev share or NIL related, so you still have to work on that and raise that. But you want to make sure that your program has everything it needs to, once you get those players there, they get a great experience, they get to develop, they have all the best weightlifting, all the best analytical, all the best video. And you want to travel the right way. You want to take care of them nutritionally. You want to try to charter with a big team like ours to a place like Notre Dame when you have 2 midweek games on Tuesday and Wednesday instead of coming back, in the middle of the night. And the only way to do that is to supplement your budget, because our budget, it's okay. There's 28 sports here. And if we can get that endowment where we want to, too, I want to have the best coaching staff in the country. I don't want these guys leaving the University of North Carolina unless they become head coaches. And that's the goal, is to pretty much be self-sufficient from the standpoint of, hey, we need, we really need to update our locker room. Well, we've got it big enough and it's drawing enough money where we can do that. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there because everybody's been so supportive. And to get involved, heck, if you want to, you can just email me. we can set up a Venmo. No, I'm kidding. But Carter Hicks and Dave Arendis and they're helping a ton. The Rams Club, Jip and Seth, among others. We're already beginning the match. The match is growing. So it's been an exciting time for Carolina baseball for sure.
And in terms of some results people might see on the field this year, tell folks about some of the new technology you have that some of that money has paid for that you may be able to draw a direct line from that to what actually happens at home plate this year.
Yeah, 100%. I was lucky to be in all those meetings with Coach Fox when we built the stadium, which was really cool looking back on it now. And what Coach always would talk about was, okay, we want to start with the players first. What do we need to make sure they have everything that they need? So if you come to our stadium and you haven't been to it, the underneath is as nice as anybody's. But we also had to upgrade it. We redid our weight room not too long ago. That was not cheap. With all the the latest and greatest technology, Coach Gatz has iPads everywhere. It's a big deal. I don't know that much about it because I don't need to, but I know that we needed it. So my job is to make sure we raise the money and get what our strength coach needs. Then they work with Coach Howell, Coach Gaines, and Coach Weirs and Coach Jackson with all that video to make it, to work with each player individually, what they need to do to make them the best baseball player they can be. So we added in the pitching facility. We redid the whole indoor cages with a pitching specific area. I don't like to call it a pitching lab because it's not a lab. It's just a developmental area for pitchers. We redid the hitting area. We just recently, Mr. Bryson allowed us to be the first college program to have Traject. And what Traject is, you're basically facing whatever pitcher you want to face with the exact same analytical numbers, TrackMan numbers, and you're getting live at bats, which has been really valuable now more than ever this year because of the snow and the freezing temperatures. It doesn't measure hard, doesn't measure how hard you work, but it does give the guys everything at their fingertips. We're hoping to redo our locker room as soon as that's outdated. We want a bigger – we teach a lot. We like to meet in the players' lounge and go over first and thirds and go over bunt defenses, first and third offense, first and third defense. And I've always wanted a meeting room with the theater-style seating. So we're working on raising money for that. But at the end of the day, I look through it through the lens of, okay, what can we do? We don't want to do stuff just to do it. It doesn't make sense to me. But if you're a player, you have everything that you need to be the best you can be, and then the rest is up to the player. So that's what we've been doing and continue to do. I'm hoping to start the locker. That's separate from the $9 million and the matching. But I'm hoping to start the locker room in that meeting area renovation, at the beginning of the summer.
You mentioned pitching in that discussion. You guys, it appears, have a pretty good staff this year. What do you like about what you have on the mound upcoming this year?
That's a great question, because I was giving Coach Gaines and Coach Howe, I walked in the locker room yesterday. I said, well, man, everybody's saying that we have like the best pitching staff in the country, but in our meetings every single day, we're like, who's doing this? Who's doing that? We do have talent, but we also lost 2 horses. Jake Knapp was unbelievable, National Pitcher of the Year. Aiden Houck had a phenomenal year. Now we got Manny Mathias back, which was a huge bonus for us. Kyle Percival's back. So while I do like our talent, I still think there are a lot of question marks. I like the fact that we have some older guys that have been there and they've done it. People forget that Jason DeCaro is still really, really young, one of the youngest members on our staff. But, I think we'll start the year with a rotation that's older. We met the other day. We're not going to be concerned about, we know who we're throwing out there against Indiana. We have an idea who we'll throw midweek, but we just want to go into this first weekend, throw some guys in some different roles, get as many guys' experience as we can. But hopefully that depth will allow us to develop, some of the younger guys as well. But we definitely have some pieces, but we have some question marks as well, and I could see things changing, until we want to try to have that staff figured out by the time we play UVA. I think that's the opener in the ACC.
What about offensively? Who are some guys you're looking for to lead the offense, and then what are some areas where you need some guys to step up?
Yeah, we lost everybody, except Gavin. If you go around the horn, you got Luke, who's gone, Stokely's gone, Vandy's gone, Madera's gone, Kepley, who unbelievable player, Bass is gone, French stepped in at the end, and Gavin. So those 2 with experience. But the portal, again, not only do we get talented players, we got the right guys. We got Macon Winslow. You have to start behind the plate. We're so lucky to have him here. He's talented. And then Colin Heineck is probably the best catching depth position we've been in since the days of Fleury, Stallings, Johnson, FedEx. We have 2 guys that are very, very capable. I think they'll be in the lineup at the same time quite a bit. Colin Heineck hit 18 home runs at Georgia State. It's a good league. He's a plus defender. And then that allows Winslow making the rest a little bit and DH him on those days, kind of like we did FedEx and Benji. Paulson will play first base, transfer from Stony Brook. I don't see him coming out of the lineup. Hopefully he'll stay healthy. We moved Gavin from third to second. He'll be in the middle. Jake Schaffner at shortstop, a transfer from North Dakota. He's been great. Junior college players. Cooper Nixon will be at third. Another portal, I hate to even say portal, but a transfer from George Mason, Owen Hull, who's just super, super he's built like Vance. He's a left-handed hitter. I hate to put that on him because I don't think I'll ever coach another Vance Honeycutt, but he'll be in center. And then both corner outfields, I think we've got some options to match up with you. Carter French is back. He's gotten better, but we've got some other transfers, and like a McGinnis. We got some freshmen that we like. Jaden Nunez from Miami, actually. I told him, I said, don't be coming in at the end of the year and thinking like, hey, I'm leaving because it's freezing here. He's been great. Tyler Howe is a left-handed hitter that's really, he's going to be in the lineup. So it's a battle for those corner spots. And it's a little bit like 18. I don't know if y'all remember that team where we brought guys off the bench like Hesterly and Tesser and Enweiler. Got some interchangeable parts. So, yeah, I feel like even though we lost everybody, I have a good idea who's going to be in the lineup. Those portal guys or the transfers that came in, they definitely won their jobs.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you've had the opportunity to leave North Carolina since you became the head coach with another job. And you just said it a minute, there's challenges here, there's challenges everywhere, but there's some challenges here. What's keeping you here at North Carolina?
Oh, man, I just love it. I think we can win a national championship. I had this conversation with Bubba a while back, but now Steve even more. For me, it's just what I keep on my game card in every meeting is as long as the commitment to us being successful is there, we can be successful. And now, what is that commitment going to be like? Hopefully it continues to be what it needs to be. And I don't ever want to look at it. I tell our players all the time, it is an honor and a privilege to be at UNC. And that's the approach I'm going to have. I'm not going to sit here and say I could have left for this, I could have left for that. I look at it more like I'm just thankful that I was given the opportunity to be the head coach here. I love being the head coach here. It's a big responsibility. There's so much tradition here. But I know right now with this team, we can potentially win a national championship. And, I love people. I love my staff. I love the people that I work with. I am fortunate. I am close to my family. My parents live in Sanford. My sister lives in Sanford. My brother lives in Sanford. So that's a short drive. But again, when you're competitive, the top thing for me is being able to walk out on the field and feel like we can beat the other team. And as long as we have those resources and continue to have those resources, and hopefully people want me here, I plan on being here. But, it takes a commitment now more than ever in this new landscape. But I'm just thankful that I didn't take a job if I did get an opportunity, because who knows, I may not be here. So I think God's got a plan, and thankfully that plan's been, for the time being, for me to be at UNC.